Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Erica Ivins, and I coordinate the Institutional Grammar Research Initiative, also known as the IGRI. Our IGRI research seminars feature scholars from around the world who use the institutional grammar to examine the origins, structure, and implications of institutional design. This virtual series typically takes place every month. And today I am very excited to introduce our guest speaker, Arezoo, who'll be presenting on her recent co-authored publication, Diving Deep into Legal Layers, Institutional Grammar's Insight into Iran's Groundwater Laws. Arezoo is based at Halle University in Germany. Her research focuses on the governance of natural resources, collective action of actors, social capital and environmental contexts, and women empowerment. And in addition to the institutional grammar, she uses a variety of qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methodologies. So without further ado, I will turn the floor over to you, Arezoo.
Hello, everyone. Can you see my presentation? Okay. So I have a technical problem here. Yeah. Hello, everyone. As Erica introduced me, I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Halle University, and today I want to present a paper that is recently published in the Water Policy Journal. And this research has been done with my professor, Professor Insa Tesfil, that she is also here today. And I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to present my paper today. And I would be happy to receive your questions, feedbacks, and so on. So, and as Erika said, that the title of this paper is Diving Deep into Legal Layers, Institutional Grammars Insight into Iran's Groundwater Laws. First of all, I give you a short introduction about the groundwater situation in Iran. In Iran, groundwater provides about 60% of the country's total water supply, and agriculture use more than 90% of this water. And groundwater pressure has increased in Iran due to the intensive development of the water sector to support the livelihoods of 80 million people, or no, 90 million people. Right now we are 90 million people, and irrigate over 6 million hectares of agricultural land. And many social environmental issues such as wetlands drying up, and sand and dust storms, decreasing water quality, and climate migration have been intensified by groundwater overdraft. And as you can see in this picture, and as you can see in this picture, it shows that over 77% of the country is affected by a decrease in the groundwater level. Yes, illegal wells are a significant issue in Iran, which is a challenge for groundwater level in Iran. And out of 658,000 water wells, around 320,000 were unauthorized, which is a significant problem right now in the country for the groundwater management. management of the groundwater resources in Iran is fundamentally based on the two key laws that is called. One of them is equitable distribution of water resources, and the other one is determination of status of unlicensed well, which is well known as Ta'een Taklif Law. And the first law was enacted in 1983, and the second chapter of this law covers about the groundwater management. And the second law was passed by Islamic Parliament in Iran in 2010 to address the over extraction of groundwater. Despite the implementation of these two laws, the decrease in groundwater levels has not only continued but also intensified, and many researchers, many Iranian researchers argued that these difficulties that have happened in Iran's water sector are mainly the result of the laws and the legal framework. Therefore, the purpose of this research is to analyze the text of these two laws to systematically identify the challenges which is embedded in these two laws that may contribute to the rapid groundwater decrease. To achieve the objective of our research, we use the analytical lens of institutional grammar 1. I don't think it is necessary to explain IG and its components to this community. I think you know all more about it than I do. Then I don't explain that what is exactly IG and so on. But the only thing that I want to emphasize here is that we consider a rule to contain all 5 components, and a norm to contain all except or else, and a shared strategy to contain attribute, aim, and condition. Yes, how the laws were analyzed. We first obtained these 2 laws from the official website of Islamic Parliament Research Center of Iran. And after that, we began a data cleaning process. It means removing irrelevant glossaries, appendix, and so on from the main content. And the first law includes 14th article and 8 specific provisions. And the second law includes single articles with the 7 detailed provisions. Then we identified the institutional statements. When a statement had multiple components, we broke it down into several different statements for clarity. And some of these were relatively easy to identify, while others required more thoughts, as you know. We identified 90 statements related to the first law and 38 statements related to the second law. And then I identified institutional statements were coded according to IG syntax. And it should be noted that and the coding analysis was originally conducted in Persian, in my mother language, in order to retain all the details. to improve, then in order to improve the accuracy of the codings, we use two techniques, intra-coder reliability and inter-coder reliability. The inter-coder reliability rates between two coders were more than 80%, which was enough. And finally, we shared the codes with the two experts from the regional water authority, and we asked them for their feedback. Yes, the findings, the analysis of the first law shows that the 11 statement out of 92 statements are as a rule, and 81 statements are categorized as norm. And this law doesn't contain any statement as a shared strategy. And on the other hand, the second law showed a reduction in the number of the rules. And as you can see here, we found only 5% of the statements were rule and 95% they were norm. And again, this law doesn't contain any statements as share a strategy. And the analysis showed that the predominant nature of both laws is norm-based, with minimal use of formal and tangible sanctions to enforce behavior, and they are more normative rather than explicitly rule-based, which may indicate that the significant reliance on informal structure in water governance or in groundwater management in Iran. Yes, the first component, the result of the first component means that means attribute showed that in the first law, the government and the well users considered as the main actors, with 48 and 38% of the statements respectively. And the second law showed a different pattern. The government involvement means Ministry of Energy. The involvement of the government in the second law has increased to 79%. And the number of the, and surprisingly, the number of the statements by the well users decreased from 35 statement to the 0. It shows that the government is the most predominant or the most significant actor or attribute in both laws. The result of the aim component showed that according to the article number 3 of the first law, yes, and also the article 1 of the second law, the responsibility for issuing the license for unauthorized wells has been assigned to the Ministry of Energy. When the first law was passed in 1983, this law allowed many violators to enter to the process of obtaining licenses for unauthorized wells that they had. And then the second law, which was enacted later in Iran in 2010, once again gave the Ministry of Energy this responsibility for issuing license for unauthorized wells. The findings for the condition component show that both laws include conditions that they that they are often unclear and sometimes contradictory. And here I give you one example to make it clear what exactly I mean. One condition says that a license should be issued for all unauthorized wells. Um, in the first law says that located in all plains of the country, it means that in the whole country. And the second law says that in any region of the country. But which means that the policymakers didn't differentiate between the different geographical places in Iran. Iran is a big country, and both laws were formulated uniformly for the whole country, which is not possible without taking into account the different environmental characteristics and conditions and so on. Here I give you an example to make it more clear what I mean. For example, here is northern part of Iran, which is with humid climate, with high rainfall, which is more than 1,800 millimeter per year. And this is a southern part of Iran, which is the climate is arid and semi-arid, and with low rainfall, which is even less than 75 millimeter per year. And they are heavily depends on groundwater, and there is interesting system which is called Ganat system there, and they are very depending on the groundwater. And imagine the law cannot be the same for these two different places in the country. And the other components of the IG syntax is Deontic and or else components. And the analysis showed that there are 44 statements in the first law and 30 statements in the second law that explicitly said that what the government should do that. However, there are no specific penalties for the government actors if they don't comply with these statements. Additionally, the result showed that within the first law, it contains a specific consequences which state that any user found to be drilling without a permit must be subject to a sanction, which is outlined in the same law in the Article 45. But the second law removed the punishment for the violators. Previously, under the first law, drilling unlicensed wells would result in consensus and penalties. But under second law, these penalties for the violators has been removed, and the same act is now considered as a base for the issuing a license. Yeah. Here, I just concluded the challenges that we found. We conclude the most challenges like this. The first one was centralization of the government, and the second one was that a backdoor, a backdoor for violators, and the third one, unclear conditions and sometimes contradictory, and the fourth one, the less enforcement mechanisms. Something that I would like to give you now is a little bit discussion or short discussion about each problem that we found. About the government centralization, this finding is consistent with the study about water law in Iran, which found that the government um, was the subject of 22 out of 52 institutional statements, and they argued that an increase in the activities of the government is actually increasing authority rather than an increase in duties and responsibility of the government. And the second one was a backdoor for the violators, and the study by Iranian researchers showed that under the first law, many unauthorized wells were able to obtain the license under this law, and that was resulting in the legalization and licensing of 150,000 unauthorized wells. And other researchers, they said that the second law may further facilitate this process. They criticize this approach, and they saying that the law indirectly protect the violators for to dig the unauthorized wells. And they are saying that it is like this, that the law saying indirectly that everyone who digs an unauthorized well can eventually obtain a license over the time. And the last challenge that we found that was less enforcement mechanism. As I said, that in the analysis, in the finding section, the laws are norm-based, and this legal framework may reflect that norms are sufficient for regulation, or it may indicate a gap in the legal framework in Iran, where the consensus for the violators are not clearly defined. If in the practice, there is a lack of cooperation among the users, this reliance on norms without the support of the rules could be a problem for the groundwater management in Iran. And a study about the irrigation system in Nepal supports our finding, and they are suggesting that while norms are more commonly found in the research, the presence of the rules, enforceable rules, although a few, is crucial for the policy performance. And they argue for formation of new rules that consider community beliefs and ideas. And similarly, we give also the same recommendation. There is a need for a better understanding of how norms and rules can be integrated to promote robust institutional performance. And there is a need for comprehensive legal framework that not only includes the clear performance mechanism, but also consider the social realities of the groundwater in Iran. And also, policymakers could encourage the active participation of all stakeholders, especially local users, in the process of the making policy, to ensure that all the norms are understood well. If that is the case, then less formal monitoring or enforcement is needed to make the regulation effective. And with that, a move towards decentralization is required, with empowering local communities and authorities. And the last slide is about the limitations in our research, and also some suggestions for the future studies. The focus of the focus on Iran's groundwater laws provide valuable insight into the country's water policy, but it is important to say that Also, it limits the generalization of the findings. That's why we recommend comparative studies with other countries that is facing the similar challenges would enhance the applicability of the findings. And also, we found that IG is a powerful tool for analyzing the legal text, but it may not capture the full complexity of the environmental interaction and socioeconomic factors and so on. And to achieve this comprehensive view, we suggest that IG can be combined with other frameworks like IAD. And also, IG has to be applied widely in water sector. For example, analysis of formal and informal rules from perspective of different actors in water sectors to provide more comprehensive understanding of water management and impact of water policy could be necessary. And yes, as I said, that this paper has been already published in the Water Policy Journal, and this is the link that you can access the paper. Thank you for listening to me.